loving month, and April is turning it up in here. With that being said, I am so excited to introduce the host of this dynamic club, Miss April the LOVEologist. Woohoo, April!
Our topic today, yes, when she is the bigger breadwinner. I've got this broken down into three different categories, and we're just going to go through here and just talk about some things. My objective today is not just to feed you a bunch of information. My objective today is to help you to understand the things that may be going on in your partner's head when you have this type of dynamic in your relationship, so that you can adjust how you respond or things that you do, or you can understand them and they can understand you. So yes, I want you to be able to um, block an escalation that may be about to happen, because I don't want anybody that's been connected to me and listening to Authentic Love to end up in divorce court. Today I am pouring out my heart. So hey, here we go. The first thing I want to talk about is what brought me to want to talk about this. I've seen a couple of ends of the spectrum in the last, I don't know, few months, and they really kind of bugged me. And then I realized I forgot that I was in this same situation myself. And so what I've seen these younger girls allowing men to move in with them, and the men have no responsibilities. She's paying the rent, she's paying all the bills. And I was like, when I met these girls, I was just baffled. And one of the young ladies that I talked to, she said her dad was even helping her pay the rent. And I was like, ooh, I feel dad's pain. Ouch. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I've seen relationships where the female is the higher breadwinner or possibly the only breadwinner. But in those relationships, it just seemed like teamwork was the paramount objective in the whole relationship. And also, I saw on the internet this question that a young man raised. He said, if she is the higher breadwinner, does that give her the right to cheat? I wanted to just scream. I was like, where is this young man? I want to scream in his ear. It doesn't matter whose bread is where. When you're in a relationship and you're married, or you're in a relationship and it's an exclusive relationship, nobody has the right to cheat. So all of these things had been motivating me, and that is what brought me to want to have this conversation. So let me start this way. A study from the Pew Research Center reported that over 40% of all households with children under the age of 18 were led by a woman as the sole or primary breadwinner. So, how did this type of situation come about? Are we talking about a higher breadwinner or the sole breadwinner? Is this a temporary situation? Is it a permanent situation? Was it planned? Maybe she's going to be financing everything while he's getting another degree. Did this happen because there was a promotion? Or maybe she even started a business? Did this happen because maybe he was hospitalized and she had to deal with the financial part? Or maybe he had to go out of the country to do something with family and she had to take over the financial part. Was she the higher breadwinner from the beginning of the relationship? And has she agreed to be the breadwinner? You see, when I was married, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And thus the book, what your mama didn't tell you about dating. And so what I did was I met him in my last year of school, and we decided to get married. And I jumped up and just volunteered myself. Actually, I sacrificed myself. And I said, hey, I'll work. I'll even work on getting my internship over there where you want to go to school, so you can go to school and I'll work. And it resulted in a disaster. Why? Because I did not know some of the things that we are going to be sharing with you today to make this type of dynamic in your relationship work. So, Miss Sonya, talk to me about what I just said.
Oh my goodness. I love everything that you said because so many times I think this becomes like a stumbling block for some people. And you said 40%, but believe it or not, that number is actually higher now. It's literally almost 70% now, believe it or not. So, in turn, I want to say this, that a lot of times what you don't look at is this. Um, I can speak in my situation clearly that can kind of open up some doors and to have you all look at as well. My earning potential will always be higher than my mates, always. And no matter what we go through or how he shifts or what he does, my earning potential will always be higher, even from my career and everything of what I was involved in prior to going into my practice and all. So, in turn, a lot of times it has to do with the situation of a person that you're dealing with. And because of it being such a roadblock and stumbling block, some have a hard time with it. So what April was bringing out in the beginning is beautiful because guess what? We're going to layer this on real good. We're going to, hey, April, let's bake a cake for them. And let's bring this discussion around that we're going to put all the layers together. I release the mic to you.
Yes, 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 yes. Because like I said, I didn't have a clue. I I did not know how this was going to play out. And I had always been around it, all the women that I can even think of that I had been around were the ones who did all the stuff. They made the most money and they did most of the house, whatever. So I didn't have a clue. So today's stuff is really, really going to help you um, work through some things. So here's the deal. Let's talk about the problem, and what causes the problem. So I'm going to read a few things to you. You know, for some of us, not some of us, most of us, especially Americans, we've associated the fact that we think that money means power. So therefore, it manifests as if whoever is the breadwinner holds more power and they're more important in the relationship. Now, even if that is not your thought, there's a chance that's in your subconscious. Here's another part of the problem. In this type of relationship, the two can lose respect for each other depending on their viewpoint. He might be thinking, well, you know, now she's making all the decisions and she's not listening. I'm just here. Or she could be thinking, he just won't get a job. He has interviews, but he doesn't go on them and he does things that actually sabotage the possibility of getting a job. He's home all day. He's not helping with upkeep of the home, just playing video games. They lose respect for each other. Another issue here, because of traditional social gender norms that say that men should be the breadwinners in relationships, we just assume that is how it's to be and no other way. Masculinity norms actually discourage men from even being vulnerable, which can also further get in the way of their ability to seek mental health support when they're stressed due to this type of relationship dynamic. So, Miss Sonya, let's talk about these things.
Well, what exactly you want me to feed into? Because there's a couple of things I gotta say. So give me something you want me to feed into first of all, because I really could go into deeply on with regards to social norms, because
Let's go with the social norms and then we'll just hit them all.
all right, so let's start there. So, look, first and foremost, a lot of times with social norms, there's always the imbalance of like the male female role. And a lot of times people don't realize that this day and age, that just throw that out the window, because that's not how life is any longer. Now I'm going to tell you, for our my household, my husband is the chief house officer. He runs the household because my schedule, my travel, and everything is crazy. So he oversees the house, he oversees the child, everything. And I'm there because with my office and everything, I'm normally traveling, but with COVID, I've been more home and able to be a part of everything. But this is the thing. When you discuss this and you start to bring out these supposed social norms, that he's this and he's that, it doesn't mean that I'm usurping headship or that I'm putting him as the low man on the totem pole. By far, that's not the case, because he's still the head of our household. He's still my husband. I still respect him. My daughter does the same, and that's how it is in his household. It's just the simple fact of it all. It's because of my career and the things that I have going on and how I have to move things about and what we're doing. It's better for us to have a situation like this, because in turn we don't have to hire in outside help, where we did have outside help, but we were able to oversee them, that our child was always safe. We had someone that we could trust, which is another family member, my husband, overseeing people, that she just wasn't left unguarded to someone who could do anything or harm her. So a lot of times I think a lot of the mentality behind this is, it's archaic. So mindset plays a huge role in everything. And I think a lot of times, even as far as it goes with women, having that stigma or feeling like, well, he's supposed to be handling this and my money is this and my, but if you are that high potential and a high earner in that family, and your dynamics has changed and the roles have reversed, you have to look at it in a standpoint of like, it's not that you are now taking care of your mate. And even if you are taking care of the responsibilities in that household, it's a partnership. It is a partnership. And so, even in the realm of dating, if your potential mate is making way less than you, and now they're stumbling over that and they have a problem with it, I guarantee you this is not the person that you are to be aligned with in your journey and walk in life. Because when they have those kind of roadblocks and that block when it comes to the money elements, it stops the progression, it even stops your ability to go grow, create, and to move forward in the things that you want to bring forward. So this is a great place for me to release the mic to you, April. But this is like where I say we really gonna have to get deep into it and not be afraid to really discuss it. And I release the mic.
So, look, when it comes to this type of relationship and the woman has got that higher income, or she may be the breadwinner, what about when women feel guilty because they are, and then what they do is they try to do a bunch of stuff, or they try to do even, they add more to their plate, shall I say, by trying to do more housework than they really probably don't have time to, because like you said, your schedule has got you doing all of this other stuff. And by the way, y'all, her husband is on point, let me tell you. But anyway, what about these women who feel guilty and they just go and try to be doing all of this stuff? What's going on in their heads besides they feel guilty?
Well, this is the one thing that I really want most to realize, because I work a lot with clients that face these obstacles and different things. A lot of times when this comes up, it's because they have the discussion with their friends. And a lot of times they're going off of opinion, off of someone else's opinion. You can't do that. You cannot feel that, you have to answer to everyone. You have to feel that you have to, tell everyone everything. Because that's why when you're dating and you're developing your relationship and you find someone that you really are falling for, you're really starting to get to know and connect in a different way, and you do have that conversation about your earning potential and his earning potential, and he doesn't have an issue with it or anything of that sort, and he thinks like, look, we're good, we're meeting each other where we need to be mentally, emotionally, and physically. I don't have an issue with your earning potential, and it's higher than mine. But then it comes to a point where, as women, you have to stop feeling that you have to be like accountable to everyone else, and everyone else has the right to have an opinion on what you're doing or what you're making, because that's just not the case. And then the other thing is that you have to stop feeling that you have to do everything, because you don't. You don't look. For a plane to fly, there takes a lot of people to be in that cockpit for that plane to really do and go to make it to its destination. Just like it takes the people to be the stewardess in the back, it takes all the elements for that plane to make it to the destination. It's the same thing when you're dating. It takes all the different elements to make that element work. And when you and your partner have no issue and you don't have the stumbling block over it, it then requires you to invest in your mindset, and it requires that you do the necessary work on yourself to align with the message of what you want in your life. If you feel that, what, I'm not going to be able to respect him because I out earn him, then you know that you need to move on to someone who has a higher earning potential. And I think a lot of times it comes down to, what exactly are your fears? What are the fears that you have? Is it because now your family's going to think he's a deadbeat? Your friends are going to think that he is living and mooching off of you? Your perception of success and greatness, it does not look the way that it's supposed to because he's supposed to be more successful than you are, bringing more money in than you? You really have to sit and do the necessary work then. Self work is deep work. And now I release the mic.
See, that's one of the things that I really, really like about interracial, intercultural relationships, the team work. And I got what you were saying. You said you go talk to your friends. See, that's what we do. And that's something that, if, and you, especially if you're going to be in this type of relationship, okay, fine, talk to your friends, but you need to be talking to your significant other, your mate, your partner about things, especially these things right here. Because if you've been following me and listening to me for a while, one of the things that you've heard me say is, in an interracial, intercultural relationship, you must build that bond between you two so that the two of you can stand strong regardless to whatever else may be going on in the world. And so this is where communication is a big deal, and it's really, 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 really needed in your relationship. And especially if it's like Sonya was saying, this is somebody that you feel like you're really, really getting close to, getting attached to, thinking it's going to really go the distance. That communication is got to be there. You've got to know where each other's standing, and you got to know how to work with each other and how you're going to deal with those outside influences, comments, attitudes, and whatever else other people have. Because the thing is, you don't want to allow your relationship, let me say it the other way, you don't want to allow other things to have a priority than your relationship. Things that could cause it to end for no stupid reason at all. I relinquish the mic.
You know, other thing is this, April, the funny thing is, this new kind of guilt, like wealth guilt. It's kind of it's a new term. It's a new way that people have about them. And a lot of times it's sad because uh I think it stifles so many people. It stifles the way that they think, how they feel, how they're going to even allow themselves to move inside of relationships. So I always think like I think of like a friend of mine. She literally is the breadwinner of the family. And she said before she used to stumble and kind of feel bad about it. And she felt like, does her husband feel like she's, holding all the keys and everything in the relationship? And then when they got divorced, he said the one thing that broke the relationship up was her constant overthinking of the process, always feeling guilty or feeling that he felt. And I think a lot of times what happens, and especially for women, especially if you're earning more and you're really kind of moving in that way and you're aligning with everything that you're doing, I think a part of it has to be that you got to sit in that place of comfort where it's just not comfortable, but it's going to be comfortable. Because I think once you get to accept who and what you are, everything else is irrelevant. Because when you're dating and you're wanting to date and you're bringing in more than that person, there's a certain set confidence that you should have about yourself. There's a certain set confidence that you should have about your stability and your wealth and your how your money is. And as long as that person's not trying to calculate everything that he's going to be getting out of you, it's necessary for you to see that your potential and you being a higher pay or higher bracket is nothing negative whatsoever. And I release the mic.
This reminds me about that submission thing, because people get all caught up in submission and what it really means and how it's supposed to manifest. And you know how I was talking about how some people feel like the person with the money has the power, and then some people just feel like, oh, if they have the money, then I'm beneath, I'm lower, and it's not. It does not have to be like that, because if I just put it in a short sentence, it's mind over matter. It's your mind. It's how you see it. It's how you handle it. You don't have to handle it the way you used to or the way you saw somebody else do it. You really don't.
Well, you know
Now,
what, April? I wanted to say something on that fact that you just said. It it doesn't submission doesn't it doesn't have anything to do with money. It has nothing to do with that. It's mutual. It's a respect thing, and it's being it's not allowing you to be self-centered. That's the other thing. So a lot of times, if there's a power struggle in that way, it's very odd because to be submissive does not mean that you are just to be like this carpet. Like you're not a rug. It's not to be walked over. And I think a lot of times people think that's what that is or what that element is, because even in that way, it's not that way at all. So I find that interesting because money does not give you power in that way. It gives you power in different ways, but not that way that allows you to circumvent or move over your mate. And I think a lot of times when I hear in counseling sessions with couples that are going through this, it raises red flags in the way that you know that there was an issue prior to this anyway, from how they came into their relationship and the role that was placed, and even the way that they looked at that role of marriage and what that meant for them. And I released the mic.
that is some serious stuff right there. DeMarco, I see you have joined us on the stage. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I do have a question for you too. What can guys do when they meet a young lady? Maybe they've gone out with her for a while and they find out she is just, I don't know, a bank. What can they do to help themselves wrap their mind around this rather than running? Because most of them typically just go poof, I relinquish the mic.
When you say they're a bank, what are you talking about?
I'm saying that she's a very high earner. She has a very high income.
Um, well, I wouldn't run from the situation. I would take my time, focus on her personality, get to know her individually, keep it on that level. Um, Keep it simple, focus on her personality, get to know those areas, um, to see what she likes to talk about. Uh, she likes walks, and you participate in those activities. And when it does come up, then you can talk about it, but it shouldn't be a red flag to men. If it is, then men have the problem because it's only a benefit. You're looking for a partner who's going to balance the two of you. So someone who is financially stable and you're not necessarily that, maybe you have qualities that will balance her off that she might be weak in. And that's how I look at things from that standpoint. I don't know if all men look at it from that standpoint, but that's my vision.
So if I understand this right, what you're saying is they don't have to let it like blow up in their head or in their mind and get to be an issue. So how can they deal with their peer pressure? Or how about this? Parent pressure from a father if they're saying negative things about this? Or should they just not tell them about it, period?
So, well, you know what? This is the thing. Uh, if you keep your finances kind of to yourself, there is no peer pressure. I don't see where there's peer pressure. So when guys don't normally pressure each other in that way. I could be wrong, but I'm friends with several men, and they don't have the hangups in that way. More so, they may tease each other at times and poke fun, but as far as it goes, like they're not small sided in that way. And there are a handful of men that can be very small minded and very short sighted in that way, where they feel like, oh, you know what, your girl, she taking care of you. You just her little toy. But is it really my problem? What you think? I would love to know. DeMarco, how do you feel about that?
Well, I don't feel peer pressure because it's my situation and I'm comfortable. Now they're the ones who might feel insecure about it and they talk about how they're the man of the household and they pay all the bills and all this other kind of rhetoric, which is okay, but it's two people in a relationship, and when it all comes down to it, it's the two of you who pay the bills. And some things she already pays for in the beginning before you meet, and unless y'all change over finances right off the bat, then I understand their scenario. But for myself, we literally did things evenly, and I don't have an issue. Uh, First of all, my wife, she's tremendous. She has all the skill sets in the world to be a great leader, and her strengths are stronger than my strengths in the profession that she does. So I am not worried or insecure in that field for her to uh, do her dream, so to speak. Her passion is that, and I don't have an issue with that. And if it means that I'm the one that has to take a step back to be or be the house father or to help with my child, then that's what I'm going to do. But I'm still the head of the household. Um, my responsibility is making sure my home is intact, is in good, my family is protected, and so forth. So that word, uh, head of the household, isn't threatened because when my wife comes home, she doesn't want to take the lead. She wants to be a wife and, wants someone to take over for her, so to speak, which allows me to do that. So that uh, position isn't threatened. So men have to look at things from a different perspective. And it means to educate themselves, but also do more research and understand the meaning of headship and submission because I'm not like and what I tell other guys is that kings, they people reported to them they needed other people's assistance to be dominant kings to control their kingdom. Same thing in the household. Husband and wife, yes, they have responsibility, but a man cannot be a strong husband without his wife. So that means in areas where I'm not strong at and she is, I have to listen to her and we have to talk about it. And if I feel that her direction sounds more decisive and accurate more than me, then we're going to side with her. But if I'm strong in certain areas, then we go with my direction. But we still sit down, we talk about it, and we make the best decision. It's not my way or the highway principle. Because if that's the case, I'm be single. She ain't gonna tolerate that. So there ain't no reason getting in a relationship or thinking it's my way or the highway because no woman's gonna fall for that, BS. But yeah, you really have to look at it from a different mindset. You have to elevate yourself and think positive because it's two people. She's a strength. She's the better half of me. And where she's not strong at, I try to be those strengths. And where I'm weak at, she's my strengths. And that's how we balance each other's out.
I love that. I love that because you said men have to educate themselves about things. They not just submission, but even about the woman, the things that she likes, that she wants to do. It sounds like you are also saying they've got to be confident in their own skin and they have to communicate. Communicate. So, would you say this would be an accurate way of saying things? There must be communications and distribution of labor, not delegation.
Correct.
Is that an accurate thing to say?
Correct. Absolutely.
Because I believe that delegation means that someone is higher than the other because on a job you delegate. But when you're on a team, it's a distribution of labor where everybody knows their piece and they're doing their piece. Let me read this to you all. And well, I'm sorry, Sonya, did you want to say something on that before I go to this next deal?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm listening.
I'm going to read this to you, and I want some feedback on it because I found this article from Essence, and this is from 2020. And what they did was they asked several ladies who were the higher breadwinners or the sole breadwinners in their families what worked and what didn't in their relationship. And this lady says, I grew up in an era of the independent woman. For me, this meant I could do and be anything. And if a man was crazy enough to come on the ride with me, well, good for me and him. Making more money than my husband led me to unconsciously emasculate him for several years of our marriage. One day I looked up and my husband was miserable, and I had a lot to do with creating the misery because I never allowed him to be the man of the house. I was the independent woman doing it all. I took up so much space by doing it all that my husband lost significance within our home. A basic human need is to be wanted and feel valued. Doing it all with money, kids, household left no room for my husband to shine. He never had the space to be my knight in shining armor. Ladies, we have to do better. We must do better because this right here, what she's talking about, will shut a man down, and sometimes they'll just be quiet and just be there, um, just because of the covenant. Y'all shed some more light on this for me.
So let me just say that I don't. So literally, when women are doing this, some are not aware, like how that the woman in the article was stating that she wasn't aware of it, and some of them aren't aware of it, and unfortunately, they're so used to always just usurping that person and not really tapping into how they're supposed to speak to their husbands and speak into them and becoming this way. They forget that you have to lead with respect. And a lot of times, what happens is that is what is so void. And if it comes to a point, because we're speaking of women being the higher earner or breadwinner, or maybe that's the job that they have, the position, they're used to calling shots in the office and doing certain things and, you know, um, being in the boardroom and making major moves. But unfortunately, I can speak from a standpoint of professionally. When I see this a lot of times is that because they have lost the focus and the balance on life, and that their life and their work, their home life and their work life become so blurred that they don't see the clear lines any longer. And so, in turn, what happens is they speak to their husbands or their partners or their boyfriends in such a derogatory way as if they're like working for them and commanding from them. And unfortunately, because a lot of times with guys, they try to give you the respect of like, maybe she's just having an off day and they don't say anything at that time, but then it becomes a habit. And then lo and behold, when you look up, that person is walking away from you instead of walking towards you. It no longer is that situation. And when you realize that you have now alienated yourself from that love and that care and that cherish spot that you have in a man, and it's one thing to do it unknowingly, but to do it knowingly and to continue to do it, it literally is so discouraging and disheartening. And unfortunately, so many times is what is the major causes of couples just no longer being in a dating situation, not dating any longer, not being married, and literally just being total enemies because he feels that she's just rude and obnoxious and arrogant. And a lot of it has to do with ego when it comes right down to it, be it from a man or when if it comes from a woman. If a man is constantly speaking down to a woman who he feels is beneath her because he makes more than her, you're just my girlfriend, you're just my wife, I take care of everything, it's the same difference. And how devalued you feel is just as devalued as that man will feel. And I release the mic.
Go ahead, DeMarco. Sound like you had something to say.
No, I was just agreeing with Sonya. Um, that kind of situation is painful for men to be in, where they don't feel Like they have a mark on a relationship and they don't feel value. And that's all men want is to feel value in a relationship. If a woman can do everything, why do I need to be there? And that's where a lot of men feel like there's no reason for me to be there because you do everything. I don't see any place for me to be in if you do everything also. So it only leads to more trouble for the men. For the men, either they leave, they get the divorce. There, there's infidelity in the household where now he's looking for outside a woman who's interested in them, so to speak. There's a lot of things that can cloud his mind because he's going to go somewhere where he is needed. And unfortunately, it's a terrible place for a male to be in because all you got to do is just sit down and talk to each other. And like Sonya said, get rid of the egos because I found out that a successful relationship, the requirement is you have to be two selfless individuals. So there's no selfishness that you have going on. So if you want to be in a relationship, you can't be selfish. You have to be selfless, meaning you're interested in your partner is interested in you, or if you have kids, that's what it's about. But you're about strengthening the family and each other and not all about yourself where someone is clouded out.
Miss Sonya, do you mind resetting the room, please?
Oh, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Authentic Love Academy. Please make sure that you're following the club. Come all the way up to the top of the page, click the little green mansion, hit the bell so you're notified each and every time that a room is set up and a beautiful discussion is birthed. You hear the jewels that are being deposited in here. So please make sure that you're following the moderators and anyone on stage that has resonated with you. Look to your left and look to your right because I guarantee you they're going into spaces and places and having dynamic discussions. You hear the discussion that's happening tonight. Please make sure that you're pinging in a few friends. Also, share the room into the hallway or onto your social media. We would greatly appreciate it. And oh, by the way, did I tell you we're here every Tuesday night at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? And with June being Loving Month, trust me, you are not going to want to miss a moment of this show and these shows, period. And then on top of it, you can also connect with April by sending her a DM, or if you see the link right over my head, if you are looking to really tap into love, break through those obstacles that are keeping you tied down and weighed down, you need to join this class now. Space is getting limited. More and more are pouring in there. And look, the price is by far something that you can afford. She has made this acceptable and so easy for everyone to go to. And you get a special treat in there. She's giving so much. The course is literally $50, and you're going to learn how to overcome roadblocks, how to speak to love, how to identify it, what is the hangups that you're facing, and even where to meet your love and how to go about it. So, with that being said, my name is Sonya LaRae. I'm a lifestyle relationship counselor, fashion psychologist, educator, and motivational speaker. But by far, I'm honored to be the co moderator in here with the dynamic loveologist herself, April. And I release the mic.
Thank you so much, Sonya. DeMarco, you are bringing the fire. You are bringing it. This is just great. I just love having a gentleman here to shed light on the gentleman's point of view. I want to go to a couple of other points here because, like I said, I wanted to bring out some things that help people understand what is going through the other person's head. Now, there were several things in this article that really got my attention. This lady says, I have always made at least 20,000 more than him. At first, it was a challenge because I was used to the idea of a man being the breadwinner because of how I was raised in my Haitian culture, in my Christian religion. It was also very difficult for him because he felt he wasn't masculine enough and that he was somehow below me in the eyes of others. Although I'm making more currently, he will always be the head of my family and my household, and my money is his money. And that's a thing too, is that a lot of couples say, this is the house money, this is the family money, and it's not my money, her money. Excuse me, we had this off. It's not my money, his money, or her money or his money. It's our money. It's the family money. It's to keep us strong as a family. So what kind of comments you got for that one?
Well, okay, so this is the thing. When you have a dynamics that you have, like, let's say your husband is the chief house officer and he is taking care of the home and everything. It's your responsibility to make sure that he also has money, that he doesn't have to feel that he has to ask you or permission to do anything, because that's not what it's about. Because just like as a wife who is the what is it called, a housewife doesn't have to come to her husband and ask her husband for nickels and dimes and pennies to keep herself sustained. She literally can make decisions, go and shop and do certain things. And so it's the same difference. If your husband is the chief house officer, he shouldn't be made to feel, or if your mate, now that you're dating, is making less than you, and you know that, and certain things that maybe he would have, he can't take care of, but you can, why is there an argument over it? There shouldn't be any situation or any stumbling about it whatsoever. So I think it's the way that you, like I said, it's all about mindset. And I think for me, because as a therapist, I look at things differently and I also look at things in a full scope. Because when we're talking about moving forward in the dating situation and you are moving your life forward, and now you have this conversation about money and it doesn't align and you don't align with that person and you're got a hiccup over it, then maybe like I said, stop. Stop thinking you're going to just, oh well, I'll fix it after we're married. No, it's still going to be the big white elephant in the middle of the room. It is going to be the elephant in the room. So it depends on how you're going to put your mindset around it. It depends on how you're going to structure things. And that requires a real conversation before you say, let's be in this relationship and let's take this journey, this walk. And then lo and behold, you're married. And now the big white elephant is in the living room and you have no choice but to talk about it now. So that's my 2 cents on that one, April. And I release the mic to you.
Where were you when I was in this situation? That was one of my bigger downfalls right there. Before we got married, we did not even discuss finances. All I said was, I'll work and you go to school, and didn't even realize that I wasn't even going to be making enough to do that. And it wasn't until we got married, we moved to another city so he could go to school, and the money started going in one direction and we were going in another direction. So this is another thing about your dating before you get married. Make sure you have the conversations, especially if it has to shift, like I said, mine did. But not only that, what about the shift if something happens and he physically can't help you with the income. How, you got to discuss how you want to handle those type things.
So, you
Okay,
know,
go ahead.
I was going to say, with that being said, a lot of times people don't realize that the stay at home, or because we're speaking about this in dating. We're not talking about stay at home. We're talking about dating. So when she is making more money than you, and you're in this dating realm now, you have a choice that you can either come into this relationship with a whole heart, an open heart, or you can now decide that if this is too much for you to accept, to just be respectful. Do not waste her time. Do not put some kind of negative connotation out there, and just tell her, look, I've enjoyed our date, but I really am not in this space or place where I need to be for you. That's better than making up a whole dissertation than anything. Because let me tell you, with how things are now and how career oriented and driven women are, they're no longer that person that is in that lower bracket. They are making money, and they are not afraid to go after these positions that are going to pay them what they are worth. And they are establishing companies and doing things that are going to make them money. They're going to be 6 7 figure women out here. And if you can't handle it, then go back to the drawing board. Either get your paper up or go align with someone who is where you need to meet. And the ladies that are out here that are building their careers, stacking their papers, making themselves into what they know is a better person and a better quality of person, not saying superficial, because a lot of times when you have money and you have certain things and you're not balanced, it's superficial. And then you think the things are what are going to make you happy. You find out quickly that's not it. And then you're married to a shell of a person who cannot understand that. So don't allow your earning potential to block your love, and don't allow your dollars and cents to move you out of where you should be with that right person because of numbers. It's just not worth it. I release the mic.
So true. It's just not worth it, because this could have been the love of your life, and you just blew it up. We've talked a lot about what men need to do, what they need to be thinking about, how women should not be emasculating the men. I want to say now about how, ladies, you can help him to feel wanted, needed, honored. This last one I got from that article, she just melted my heart. She said, I work two full-time roles as a public relations executive and a graduate professor. Through my partner, though my partner has a phenomenal career, I earn more than him. I'm dependent on him spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. He's my better half. And while on paper I earn more than him, he, without a doubt, completes me. We have to make sure that we are letting them know that they're wanted, letting them know that they are needed, letting them know that we appreciate what they do. Just letting them know that we just truly love them. Or otherwise, like Sonya was just saying, we can blow up the relationship and end up with no relationship. One of the main things about being able to maintain your relationship without all of this becoming a big issue in people's heads is that you've got to have good communication. It's got to be open. You both want to be showing appreciation to each other. You want to build that strong bond in your relationship. Look at it from a teamwork standpoint, teamwork mentality. Honor and respect each other. Set some of those couples goals. Even if you're dating, set some of those couples goals. What do you want to do? What do you want to achieve together as a team? And like I said, he needs to feel and know that he's wanted and needed, and that there is a place for him. Because DeMarco was saying that same thing. He wants to know that there's a place for him in your life, and that he has that special place also in your heart. What you gonna tell me about all that, Miss Sonya?
Okay, so I got a couple of things. So I think a lot of times when people are dating and it's this situation comes about and is in the picture, first and foremost, I think if you're dating a person and in this conversation as you're talking, and let's say that you know what you're in the mailroom and she tells you that she's an attorney. So you know your earning potential, you know she's out earning you. Be honest about your insecurities about it. Be honest about it. Don't let your financial differences become that elephant in the relationship, or your fear to become that elephant in the relationship. And the other thing is, don't try to keep up. Like, don't think that you have to start trying to keep up financial to penny to penny, because that is just not going to do it. And when you start competing with your mate in that way, it's just a detriment, especially when you're building on a relationship. The other thing is this is that if you know that your person that you're dating has is making way more than you, and you want to take her on nice dates that are more pricey, you may even say, you know what, I want to take you here, but right now I just got to hold on, but I'm planning this. And even if she brings up certain things that are outside of your budget, let her know. Be honest. This is outside of my scope. This is, and she may say, don't worry about it. I got this weekend. I'm planning this for us. But then you have to be self assured and self secure in that realm of who you are. Don't be afraid to do that. And don't feel that you have to outgift her when she gifts you. Meaning that if she's purchasing a gift and it's a tag and it's purple labels and a whatever, don't think you have to outgift her. Well, I got to go to Tiffany's, and you're going over there and you're just putting yourself into debt. Don't. And listen, be open. Be open to the endless possibilities of what can be. Don't be afraid to open up about it. Don't be afraid to have the real conversations. And then as you all progress and move forward, and it gets to the point of where you're really serious about each other, have the next conversation of not divulging each other's confidentiality, meaning your finances are not up for debate with anyone outside of your relationship, because no one should have an opinion about that in your relationship, be it father, mother, brother, cousin, aunt, friend, best friend, godmother, whoever, not even a cat and a dog. No one gets to have that right to you all. So, with that being said, April, this has been such a great discussion. I think our cake has been made beautifully and baked well, and I just have really enjoyed this discussion.
I think it's been baked pretty well too.
April, the loveologist, she's got a lesson or two. She's a love coach, a matchmaker, making dreams come true. She's a champion of interracial love.